Guys, tell me that keyboards like this are not the most satisfying sound. I can't click anything because I don't want my recording to stop, but I feel like I'm doing ASMR. Anyway, welcome back to another episode. I am in a bit of a different setting today. When I was out in my living room, the light, it was beautiful, but the light was hitting the side of my face and I just looked really weird. And as I go back and look at my videos, I actually don't really like the lighting out there. My first video, I had the ring light going on, so it actually lit up my face properly. Oh my goodness, I saw something out the corner of my eye. I thought it was a spider. But yeah, I was looking at the way the light was hitting my face today out in the living room and I did not like that. So I am in my bedroom and honestly, I like how bright it is in here, like just the white walls. So I hope you guys don't mind the change of scenery. But welcome back to another episode. Happy Friday. Today is Good Friday when this comes out, so I hope you guys are enjoying your week so far. Today, I wanted to do an Easter-themed episode. So I'm going to title this From Grief to Glory, the Easter Journey. I just kind of wanted to go over John 19 and 20, and then talk about the grief, the waiting, and the glory of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I hope you guys enjoy today's structure of episode, and I am excited to dive in about Easter because it's crazy. Growing up, I did not think Easter was a big holiday, right? Like I knew like the Easter bunny and you got your Easter basket, but it's crazy that I never understood the severity of it. Like, I guess I never really understood why Jesus died. Like, I remember always hearing, Jesus died for your sins, but I just didn't understand what that meant literally until I found Christ in fall of 2023. And even then, I don't think I fully understood until that Christmas. But just knowing that he literally sacrificed himself for the sins of everybody is beyond beautiful. And for that, I am just, and we all need to be so, so grateful and reflective this Easter season. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing well. I want to go ahead and start in prayer, and we will go ahead and get into everything. Lord, thank you that grief doesn't get the last word. Thank you for the cross and for the empty tomb. For those who feel stuck in Friday or Saturday, bring the hope of Sunday. Speak their name like you did with Mary. Remind them that you are alive, and because of that, we have hope. Amen. Okay, so I was actually going to plan on reading all of John 19 and 20. I read it today again, and I feel like John is just more of the emotional depiction of Jesus's death and resurrection. I mean, all four of them are obviously beautiful and powerful, but John, to me, I do like John's gospel with the resurrection. And so I was going to read it all, but I decided that I would just encourage you guys in your free time or your quiet time, your secret place time, to just read John 19 and 20 or whatever gospel kind of hits home for you the most. Just really reading and reflecting again, but just reading about his death and resurrection. It's very sad. Obviously, it is very hurtful to read about, and I know the Passion of the Christ does, the visual depiction of it, and I am going to watch that this week. My friend Camille told me to watch it, so I don't know why I haven't watched it now, but I will be watching that. But anyway, I am just saying that it is just crazy, though, when you read it, and I've seen clips on social media and stuff that depict it, but how reading it just makes your body cringe, and you just kind of flinch while reading it or seeing it. It's weird how much it's it hits your heart, but that is just how we know that he lives in us, because reading it and watching it literally causes me, at least, physical distress. I am hurting reading it and watching it. So that's just how I know that he lives within us, because he went through that. So in a way, I feel like we kind of feel that pain. And just knowing that he loved us so much and did that for us. It's sadly beautiful. And so I just really encourage you guys to read that. Again, I could sit here and I could read it, but that would probably be 20 minutes because I'm not the fastest reader, and I just think that would be beautiful for you guys in your own personal time to go read that. So anyway, so pretty much I broke this down into the grief, which is Good Friday, the waiting, which is Silent Saturday, and then the glory, which is Resurrection Sunday. Starting with the grief, Good Friday, it is when Jesus died. It is when he was abused, whipped, he wore the crown of thorns. They put that purple robe on him, mocked him, slapped him. Pilate was just trying to talk to Jesus and ask him questions because he knew he was innocent, and he was telling the Jewish leaders, I don't find him guilty. And he wanted nothing to do with it. And he even told Jesus, like, I have the authority to stop this. Like, why aren't you, like, fighting back, basically? And Jesus said, you would have no power over me at all unless it were given to you from above. So the one who handed me over to you has the greater sin. So it's just crazy when you read that Pilate tried to release him and was telling Jesus, I have the power to let you go. And Jesus said, no, you don't. No, you don't. It is crazy reading that and just knowing that this was literally written in God's will and there was no changing it. And then when you go to the crucifixion, read about the crucifixion, just knowing that he carried the cross by himself and that he was hung there with 2 other criminals. And just reading about how Mary, his mother, was there, Mary, his aunt, and Mary Magdalene, they were all there, and they saw Jesus in his last moments, and how Jesus said, it is finished. He bowed his head and gave up his spirit. It is literally so powerful to read. When I was reading it earlier today, I kept getting chills after chills, just knowing, again, this was written in God's will. There was no changing it, and there was so much sorrow in that moment. And his disciples, Jesus was their hope, their future, their promise for change. And so not understanding what is going on, why is he being crucified? Like, that grief alone, like, I just could not imagine following him for 3 years and to see it end that way. And again, they had no idea what this was all leading to. They had no say at all in what was happening. And also too, just knowing that Mary was there and she watched her son die. I could not imagine, like, I don't have kids yet. I could not imagine, though, being pregnant with a baby from God and giving birth to that baby and seeing that baby just be hated and spit on by the world when God told you, like, this is my promise to you. This is my baby that I'm going to give to you to raise. And God trusted her with her baby. And so for her to see her baby up there being just hated on by the world, that, like, I just could not imagine. No mother should have had to go through that. And I wrote down this little quote here. Grief isn't just crying, it's confusion. So I just want to go ahead and kind of like sprinkle in some of my personal grief with you guys. And I think I'll probably do a whole episode on grief. You guys know, if you listen to my testimony, that I lost my mom at the age of 11. She passed away from cancer, and she fought for about 1.5 years. So she was diagnosed when I was 10. And I still have, flash memories of when she was sick. But unfortunately, most of my memories from that age are gone. It's just me remembering her being sick. I still have the flash image of her dead on her bed, and I know that's very deep, and I don't want to call it dark because like that's my mom, but to see my mom's like soulless body there, like that will be permanently etched into my mind. And just knowing that as I get older, I'm able to switch my perspective of, I'm a little girl who lost her mom and I've had to grow up without my mom. It's that my mom was 34 years old. She was so young. I'm 25. I'm only 9 years away from that. I've already lived half my life approaching the age of 34. She was so young. She lost her life and she had to leave her kids behind and her husband behind. And I wish that I knew my mom, especially as an adult. As I'm an adult now, I wish I got to know her. And that grief of knowing that I will never be able to just call my mom up and say, hey mom, like, how's it going? Do you want to go to TJ Maxx? Do you want to go grab coffee? Do you just want to hang out? Like, hey mom, I need to talk to you about this situation with a friend, or I'm feeling really discouraged. Like, I will never be able to call my mom up and have my mom give me advice, to listen to me. That is going to be an empty part of my life until I die. Till I die. And in my grief episode, I will go deeper into my dream. But I had a dream when I was 18. And I can look back now and I think it was heaven. I think it was heaven. I had a dream that the world was ending, basically. And I had to like do the dance of life, and I got like flashed into like these bright white lights, and my mom was back to her beautiful, healthy self. She was sitting or standing on the front porch of a log cabin. She always wanted a log cabin with a wraparound porch. She was standing there, and she was beautiful. She was wearing this dress that I remember her wearing all the time. And she just had this bittersweet look on her face, just like a slight smile. And I walked up and I hugged her, and I woke up crying with my arms around me. And that was the realest moment I've felt of having a mom since she passed when I was 11. And again, I was 18 when I had that dream. And I'll go deeper into that dream in my grief episode. But I don't have a mom. I don't have a mom. And that just stinks, knowing that when I have kids, like, I'm going to have to tell them, yeah, like, you don't have a grandma on your mom's side. And, like, my kids will have to not have that experience with my mom. And it's crazy because I was 11 and I just realized that so much of that grief got suppressed. I was never able to process it. And it came out in other ways as I got older. And I feel like in moments like this, when I sit here and I reflect on my mom, I am able to process it a little bit more. But grief is truly something that comes in waves. When people say that, like, and if you haven't experienced grief or the loss of, somebody big in your life, it is really hard when the time does come. And not that this is like a pity me moment, but like I had to experience that at a really young age. And I know that there's people that experience it a lot younger than me. And I don't want to say like, oh, you're lucky if you never experience grief, but truly, like, there's people that will likely never experience grief until they're like into their late adult years. And I want to be somebody to help those people along that path when that time does come, because grief is literally like one of the weirdest emotions. I can't even like explain it properly to anybody. It's like an emptiness and like a nostalgia and like a lot of acceptance. It's a really weird emotion. So I know grief because I lost my mom, and then my aunt, I know I touched on this in my testimony. I lost my aunt to cancer as well when I was 20. And I don't think I said this in my testimony, but my aunt became kind of that mother figure in my life. Like, she was the one that I could talk to about boys and friendships and clothes and makeup. And when she passed away from cancer, I really felt like no matter what you did, you're still gonna die. And this is before I found Christ. No matter what you do, you're still gonna die. So you might as well have fun with it. This is when I was like really dark into like my smoking weed phase. And just literally, I had no light in my eyes. I don't even know how I like made it out of that. It was literally by the grace of God. But when she passed away, I truly, that was like the darkest time in my life, because losing two of the closest people I know to cancer, it just was a really dark time in my life. So anyway, on a little bit, I guess, like lighter of a note is like the loss of friendships, the loss of opportunities, kind of that grieving of like what your life used to be like or what your life could have been like. Because I don't really think that grieving is just a past feeling. I believe that grieving is also a future feeling, because I know for sure I'm grieving into the future knowing that I don't have my mom to come to me to the hospital when I have my babies in the future. I don't have my aunt to just go on a coffee date with. I am grieving the future knowing that that is never going to happen. So when I talk about like grieving opportunities, just wondering what your life would be like if you got that opportunity or if you didn't get that opportunity, and just change that you weren't ready for. Grieving, again, how your life used to be, things changed in an instant, and now you have to like replan and grieve what you thought things were going to be like. So that's what I had for like Good Friday, the grief period when all the disciples were grieving his death, and his followers and his mother. Grief isn't just crying, it's confusion. Okay, so carrying on to Saturday. So Silent Saturday. Saturday is often overlooked, but it was a day full of silence. Nothing changed. Jesus was in the tomb, and everyone had questions. And I really wanted to emphasize Saturday, because I feel like a majority of our time as Christians is being in that waiting period of, God is going to deliver on a promise, whether it's what you had visioned or not, that he will deliver, but you don't know when or how it's going to happen. So you're just in that waiting. But I really want to emphasize that God's silence does not mean that he is absent. I have really, really been in this area right now. There is something that I am not yet free to talk about on here. Don't worry, I am not pregnant. Jake and I are entering a new chapter in our lives, and I have had an imaginary timeline in my head, a timeline that I made up. And I am really in that season of patience right now. And I had the craziest realization last night. I will go ahead and share it with you guys. But again, I have to be vague just out of respect for the people involved. I'm just being very vague. If you know me in my personal life, you know what this is. But pretty much, when I first found Christ, God really showed up for me right away. The metaphor that I used is, there's a tub of ice cream, and that tub of ice cream keeps getting scooped out, right? Ice cream is good. Each scoop was a blessing. And pretty much talking to my now husband, after my previous relationship, talking to Jake, starting to date Jake, getting this apartment smoothly, transferring with my job smoothly, falling into Jake's family, having a beautiful family to get to learn and be around. Another scoop of a blessing. And then Jake and I getting engaged. And then Jake getting out of the Marine Corps, me flying out to California to go see him. We had a family cruise. And then I had my tonsillectomy, and God really, I was so scared, guys, of that tonsillectomy. I was psyching myself out because they say the older you get, if you get a tonsillectomy, it can become really risky. I really thought, I was going to bleed out and die. We don't need to talk about how fearful I was because I look back and I gave it to God, but I was, so doubtful in that season, which is not good. But basically, another scoop, he watched out for my tonsillectomy. And then my husband got a job, so I was able to quit my corporate job. And I was able to stay home, reset my nervous system. And that just oh my goodness, I am just so grateful for that. So that was a mega scoop. And then we got married. And just all of these beautiful blessings that came my way in a year of finding Christ. Literally, the way he was just scooping me scoop after scoop, And this next chapter of Jake and I's lives, again, I'm not pregnant, but this next chapter of our lives, we've been waiting. And we have had... I'm trying to be so vague, and I feel like I am just that person where you guys are probably just spit it out, but pretty much I have had to realize that God is fulfilling this promise for me, but he's making me wait a little bit longer than I want. And he's telling me, he's like, honey, I have given you basically a full tub of ice cream right away. This one's just going to sit in the freezer and get a little freezer burnt, just a little bit of waiting in there, you're getting bitter about it, but the scoop is still good. It's still ice cream. It's still really yummy. It's delicious. It's amazing. But I'm telling you, it's going to sit in the freezer a little bit longer, and that's okay. And I'm I want it now, I'm like a greedy little kid. And I'm sitting here and I got smacked in the face with that realization yesterday that God will fulfill his promises to you. But sometimes he makes you wait a little bit longer than you want when you are being greedy and wanting it right now. And that's what I am in right now. I am in that waiting season. I'm in that silent Saturday. This is something that I have not had a direct answer on. It's not something that has yet come, and my situation hasn't fully changed yet. And that is okay. And that's just how the waiting season is sometimes, is things are going to be silent. But just because God is silent does not mean that he's absent. And this whole thing was a few months, and I'm sitting here and I'm not hearing anything. And then yesterday, God just smacked me in the face with that realization of you're being greedy, you need to slow down. And I'm okay, all right, I will slow down. But it's so hard. To me, the waiting is the hardest part. So hopefully you guys can relate on that. But I just wanted to say, we will all face Saturdays in our lives, seasons of waiting where we find that God is silent or he's not there. But he is there. He is just not speaking loudly. He is making you wait, and there is always a reason for making you wait. That one is hitting home with me today, guys. So carrying on to the glory. So it is Easter Sunday. It is Sunday morning. And so it starts out chapter 20. Mary goes to the tomb to weep. She goes there to mourn. And she notices that the stone is rolled. And so she called Simon Peter, and him and the one whom Jesus loved, said that they have taken the Lord's body out of the tomb and we don't know where they have put him. And so pretty much they're trying to figure it out. And Mary is in there, and she notices somebody standing outside the tomb, and she is gardener, what's going on? She thought he was a gardener. And then Jesus goes, Mary. So the fact that she went there to weep, she notices he's gone, and he is standing there, calls her by name. She turns around, and just the joy that you would feel. Okay, sorry, I had to reposition myself. I'm trying not to show my dogs, but I am doing crisscross applesauce, and it is just not comfortable anymore. But called her by name and just comforted her in that moment, in her grief, in her weeping. He came to her and called her by name. Jesus wants to do that for us, guys. He wants to be there for us in our sadness the way he was with Mary. That to me is just such a beautiful moment. And the fact that she didn't even recognize it was him at first. But yeah, just knowing that Mary went to the tomb to weep and grieve, and instead she left with so much joy and purpose to go out and tell the others. It's beautiful. That is just a beautiful moment. And here, you guys know I love my notes. She went from sorrow to joy, from confusion to clarity, grief to glory, and pain to promise. Literally in that instant when he was raised up. And so Easter flips the script. Grief doesn't have the final word. Glory does. And this one, I feel bad because I haven't written as much as I did for the grief and the waiting. But I guess I can relate that, literally what I just said, about how as soon as I turned my face towards Christ, all of these beautiful blessings and promises were fulfilled. And that's what he does. Now we have the Holy Spirit. Now we have the promise of heaven. We have the promise that our sins are forgiven. That is the promise of Easter. And that is the most beautiful thing in the world, guys. I am so grateful that is the God that I serve and that you serve. I want to leave you guys with some questions. So, where are you today? Are you in the grief of Friday? Are you in the waiting and silence of Saturday? Or the surprise and joy of Sunday? And you may not see the full resurrection yet, but the stone will roll away. Whatever situation you're facing right now, whatever hardship, whatever failure you feel you're walking through right now, you will see the full picture soon. Romans 8:18, our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. I just love that so much. All right, guys. So that is all of the notes that I have. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it wasn't too short, but I really encourage you guys to go read about the death and resurrection, even though it is very painful and sad to read. It's also bringing it back to the glory and promise of God and the joy of that at the end. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. And if you have any prayer requests, please leave them down below. I will be happy to pray for you guys. And thank you for all of the continued support with this. And I hope this episode wasn't too messy. I feel like as I'm wrapping up, I'm like, this episode was kind of all over the place. But yeah, I feel like I should do a full episode on grief. Definitely considering some video topics to talk about, podcast topics to talk about. But yeah, I hope you guys have a very happy Easter and a good rest of your week. And we will talk next time. Bye.